Hey, it's Dr. Ernst, host of the AskDrErnst Show. And if you have a thyroid problem, maybe you're taking Synthroid, Levothyroxine, Armourthroid, or Natrethroid, or you're trying to do it naturally with some sort of a glandular, listen up. There's only 3 things that cause a hyperthyroid condition: nutrient deficiencies, leaky gut, or subluxation within your spine. Most people have never heard about the third cause, subluxation, so I've written an entire ebook on how to fix your thyroid and address all 3 causes: nutrient deficiencies, leaky gut, and subluxation. It's all yours free right now. Just simply text the word thyroid with your name and email to 704-906-2094. Imagine a workbook on how to fix your thyroid, lose weight, feel great, grow your hair back, get your energy back. It's all yours free. 704-906-2094. We just need your name, your email, and the word thyroid. Again, 704-906-2094. Again, 704-906-2094. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I am your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and today we are going to talk about one of the most controversial topics, hypothyroidism, but the autoimmune version, Hashimoto's. I'm going to say this as we begin the show. It is the number 1 cause of low thyroid function. I'm going to say it again, the number 1 cause of low thyroid function. Here we go. If you're taking Synthroid, Levothyroxine, Armourthroid, this is why you have hypothyroidism. It's not your genes. It's not your family history. It's not bad luck. It's an autoimmune condition that Dr. Hashimoto figured out. He was a primary care physician who said, why is it that so many patients have hypothyroid symptoms, low T4, elevated TSH? We medicate them with Synthroid, Levothyroxine, Armourthroid, Thyroxin, you name it, and their labs look better, but their symptoms don't go away. He found out there is a sub-cause or a sub-condition where you build antibodies against the thyroid tissue. And so what happens is in individuals that have Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, their thyroid's working fine. But either the production of the hormone gets attacked or the enzyme that makes the hormone gets attacked. And we now have the real root cause of hypothyroidism. One of them at least. There's at least 3. This is one. So if you're new to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show, we give a lot of information away for free. One thing I'm giving away is my Thyroid Heal Thyself ebook. It talks about Hashimoto's. It talks about autoimmune thyroid. It talks about neurogenic thyroid. It even talks about toxicogenic thyroid. And here's the cool thing. It has the steps to diagnose, the steps to reverse, and here's the best part, the supplements and the diet that you can use right now to turn a Hashimoto's thyroid around. So if you're constantly feeling tired, you're struggling to lose weight, and you are battling brain fog, or you're experiencing classic hypothyroid symptoms, today is your episode. And today's the day that you should download the Thyroid Heal Thyself ebook. You can do that right now simply by texting your name, first and last, not just first name, guys, first and last, with your email and the word thyroid to 704-906-2094. We are live in the Ask Dr. Ernst studios broadcasting to you. Yes, today is a special broadcast. Yes, the Tar Heels are playing, and we're not on the airways, but we're on the streaming ways. I have the YouTube camera over there. I have the X camera right there. I've got the Facebook camera. We now have 3 cameras rolling at all times, and we just jump between all 3 of them. But now's the day, guys. So we want to do, number 1, pick up the phone, okay? 704-906-2094. Hey, if you call it, you're going to get a voicemail. You have to leave a voicemail. We have to return a voicemail. So just text the word thyroid with your name, first and last, and your email to 704-906-2094, and we are going to have a ton of fun today. I'm going to explain what is Hashimoto's. I'm going to show you what you can do to lower your antibodies, and I'm going to show you how you can actually turn your symptoms around rather quickly yourself so you can become your own endocrinologist. Like, how cool is that? You can do this all by yourself. The one thing I've learned while I have multiple degrees and I'm board certified as a doctor of natural medicine, I'm board certified as a chiropractic physician, I have training and certifications in functional nutrition, in physiotherapies, and things that help the human body to heal by themselves. I know how to do it, but you don't. So what if we engage in education? You know, the original term doctor meant to teach, doctor, to teach. And today, a lot of doctors are not teaching, they're just prescribing, and they're just making blanket recommendations of, go take this to solve that, okay? And if you look at a thyroid, for example, you cannot take thyroid medications and fix a thyroid problem that isn't a thyroid problem, because Hashimoto's is not caused by thyroid dysfunction. It creates thyroid dysfunction. Many Hashimoto's patients have a perfectly working thyroid, but the effect, the production of the hormone is where the attack takes place. So basic. We got to start talking about what in the heck is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. You may have heard of the term, but it means there's a functional issue going on. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. And for a long period of time, we used to say autoimmune meant, oh my gosh, your body's confused, and for some reason, it's attacking itself. Well, it's 2024. We now know autoimmunity is a heightened reactive defense because of a damaged intestine. So picture this. Your thyroid is like the thermostat in your house, okay? So you get to control the temperature. And as long as you set the zone, maybe 72 to 74, everything's working smoothly. But in Hashimoto's, your immune system starts to build antibodies that start chiseling away at the thermostat. And over time, eventually the thermostat gets damaged and it can no longer regulate the temperature of your house. So in the same nature, the thyroid is working fine, but there are little tiny antibodies going choop, 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 exactly to the thyroid. There's an enzyme on the inside called thyroid peroxidase. The enzyme's purpose is to make thyroid hormone by grabbing iodine and attaching it to a thyroglobulin protein. 4 attachments of iodine, you get T4. It is the primary hormone made by the thyroid. The thyroid also makes T3, but in lower quantities. It even makes T2 in even lower quantities. And guess what? It even makes T1 in even lower quantities. So there are 4 different types of thyroid hormones, T1, T2, T3, T4. There's even a 5th one, but we'll talk about that later. And so when T4 is made, there has to be an enzyme to make it. So one way antibodies start to cause hypothyroidism is if you attack the production enzyme. So think of it like if you can't make the hormone because the enzyme is being attacked, then of course T4 levels will go down. And now here's the conundrum. Then the TSH goes up and your undereducated, ignorant, classic physician will say, oh, you have hypothyroidism, so here's levothyroxine. And yes, when you take a medication that is T4, it will raise your blood levels of T4, but it's fake, it's synthetic, and the TSH will come down because it can read the fake synthetic, and everybody's like, yoo-hoo, we're happy. The doctors are like, you've cured your thyroid. But yet, if you stop taking the medication, the hypothyroidism comes back. No cure. Just management of blood, not even management of symptoms. They're just managing your blood test. They're literally treating your blood test. So there can also be antibodies produced against the hormone itself. So I want you to think of it like this, okay? let's say this, dongle is the thyroid tissue and it makes this flash drive. But in the analogy, this flash drive will be thyroid hormone. So here's the thyroid and here's the hormone. Let's pretend the thyroid goes and it makes the hormone properly, meaning there's no antibodies against TPO. Thyroid peroxidase perfectly grabs iodine and says, here you go, T4. Well, the T4 starts to go out in the blood, but antibodies start to destroy it. Those are called thyroglobulin antibodies. So do you see the conundrum? You really have to know if you have Hashimoto's, well, are you attacking the antibodies or are you attacking the hormone? And here's the crazy thing. Most conventional physicians are like, we don't really care what you're doing. We're just going to give you the same treatment, which is more medication. So now that we have this general understanding of what is Hashimoto's thyroid, let's talk about what causes it. Why on earth would someone produce large amount of antibodies against either the production enzyme or against the globulin protein? And the answer lies in a fancy phrase called molecular mimicry. I know it's going to be something that you're going to go, oh, Dr. Ernst, like, what do you want us to be, a physician? Yeah, you kind of have to today. You're going to have to learn. It's not that hard. Go to ChatGPT and type in cause of Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid, discuss molecular mimicry, talk about leaky gut, and hit return, and you're going to see it's pretty much the entire show I'm talking to you guys about today. Okay? The information is out there, readily available. But the problem is, if you don't know that it exists, then that's the lowest level of education possibly known to man. You are unconscious, I'm unaware of the incompetence that I didn't even know. I didn't even know. And it's not your fault. Imagine this. How are you going to know about something that you don't know about? Unless you have some instructor or teacher who shows it to you, or God reveals it to you, this is the cause of your thyroid condition, you would have to start to become educated. Now, here's the cool part. The moment you know that there's something that exists that you didn't know about, you're automatically conscious to the fact you didn't know. Now I know that I didn't know. I'm aware of my unawareness. They call that education level number 2. And now here's where it gets fun. If you now know that you didn't know, now you can know what you need to know. So now you know what you know. So you're becoming competent, as they call it. I'm actually somewhat educated in this. I could carry on a conversation with someone. So the thyroid makes thyroid hormones by taking thyroglobulin protein and attaching iodine to it with an enzyme called thyroid peroxidase. Everybody in your neighborhood is going to be like, wow, are you a doctor? And you have to say, no, but I'm highly educated as if I am my own doctor. And that's fine, because that's the only way you're going to heal yourself. You could also say, oh, and by the way, during a cocktail party, did you know that the thyroid could make perfect thyroid hormones, T4? But because the backbone, the barrier, the sort of foundation of the hormone is a thyroglobulin protein, if you have antibodies against thyroglobulin protein, you could also have low T4 because the hormone is being destroyed by the antibodies. And your friends are going to be like, what are you, like a neuroscientist? You're talking about hormones and the brain and hypothalamic pituitary, and you're going to say, yeah, except I'm self-trained. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this. One of the biggest issues that I talked about, molecular mimicry, is something you really need to pay attention to. And here's what it means. When you have a gut leak, which most people do, unless you're like really diligent with supplements and diet and gut protocols and, tightening of gap junctions. Let's just go, like if you can feel a pulse when you put 2 fingers by your throat, you have a leaky gut, more than likely. Unless you've tested it and you can say, no, look, my labs say it's fully sealed, healed, and I don't. When you have a leaky gut and you eat food, certain proteins that are undigested leak across the gut membrane and get into the blood. Those proteins may look a lot like other proteins in your body. Thyroglobulin is a protein. Therefore, the hormone T4 is also a protein. It's thyroglobulin with 4 iodines attached to it. So if you eat animal products or even plant products and you leak a protein that looks a heck of a lot like the thyroglobulin protein, your body will build antibodies to that food-based protein. So here's the hard thing to understand. Food-based protein, this USB dongle, leaks across the cell membrane, and your body sees it and says, build antibodies to that. Well, the food-based protein has the logo on it. Thyroglobulin has no logo on it, but it looks a lot alike food-based protein, thyroglobulin protein. So your body has all these antibodies floating around for this thyroglobulin protein, and what it does is they're swimming around. Where's that protein? We got to kill it because it's not natural to have food proteins in your blood. And what it does is it comes across, oh, look, food protein. Now, watch this. It goes, hey, that's awfully similar, like 98%. Let's kill it too. That's called molecular mimicry, where a food-based protein that has leaked across the digestive membrane creates an autoimmune antibody reaction. And now the antibodies can't tell the difference between food and you, so they just attack both. And now you have Hashimoto's if you're going after the globulin protein and the peroxidase enzyme. Ooh, I hope that sits in with you guys. I know you're probably going to have to hit rewind and listen to this 3 times, but that right there is what causes the antibody production. So what causes Hashimoto's? Leaky gut. Hands down, guaranteed. Gut's been leaking for years. You're eating foods that mimic the same proteins that are found in the thyroglobulin protein structure. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's lectins and gluten and casein that does this. So when milk proteins leak across the gut barrier, when dairy proteins, which I just said milk proteins, sorry, when wheat proteins leak across, and when proteins from nuts and seeds and beans called lectins leak across, those proteins look a heck of a lot like thyroid peroxidase antibody and thyroglobulin antibody. Okay, so you build antibodies against those proteins and your body attacks it. So now that we know what it is and we know what causes it, now we have to ask the existential question. How the heck do we fix this? Well, step number 1 to fix it is download the Thyroid Heal Thyself ebook. Like, hands down, that is the step. Step number 1, download the ebook. Why? Because everything you need is in there. Literally, how to diagnose it, what labs you need to do, how to read your labs, what supplements you should take, what diet you should eat, all the above. It's all free. In fact, on the screen, it'll even say text your name or whatever to here. There might even be a link you can click. If my team's really good, up there, down here, over there, or over there, there might be something that says, grab it now. You can also text your name and your email to 704-906-2094. Okay, so transitioning. How do we lower thyroid antibodies naturally? Well, hopefully it makes sense. If we know the cause is a leaky gut, why don't we seal a leaky gut and you'll start not producing new antibodies. Now, here's the unique thing about an antibody. They have a half-life of a long time. Some of you still have COVID antibodies in your blood, and you had COVID in 2021, and it's 2024. Some people have had antibodies against things that they were vaccinated from or exposed to from when they were a kid, still today, 20, 30, 40 years later. So it's not to say that those antibodies need to go down to 0. It's just they need to start coming down. And the neat thing is if you're not stimulating the production of antibodies, then the current free-floating antibodies are like, hey, we haven't seen any food-based proteins in a while, so we don't need to be here as much. Okay, so the textbook gold standard is you're supposed to have less than 34 units of antibodies against the peroxidase enzyme, and you're supposed to have less than 1, which is like basically 0. Like you should never have antibodies against thyroglobulin. Some patients I've worked with will come in, their antibodies against TPO are like 600 plus, okay? That tells us, man, your gut is ragingly leaking and you've been eating sensitivity foods for a long period of time. Can it get better? Yes, but it takes a long time to go from 6 to 5, 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 50, 50 to 25. Boom, now we're in the normal zone. But Dr. Ernst, 25 still sounds like there's antibodies floating around. Yeah, there will be probably for the rest of your life. As long as they're staying dormant and they're not affecting you, you can have up to 35 and you're okay. Okay, thyroglobulin antibodies, on the other hand, you should have none of those. So if you have like 2.5, that's considered like, oh my God, it's super high. If you have 25, it's like, oh my God, you're nuclear. Like you're going to explode. Okay, so what we do is we say, let's find the numbers, let's run the tests, figure out is it an autoimmunity or not? Is it true Hashimoto's or not? True Hashimoto's means you have both the peroxidase antibodies high and the globulin antibodies high. Some patients, clients, they'll have just one high. Thyroid peroxidase is high, but the globulin is fine. Globulin is high and the peroxidase is fine. It's kind of think of it as like it's a precursor. It's an early warning that you are developing this condition. Okay? The good news is there's easy ways to lower these antibodies. First of all, it begins with the greatest of all diets on the planet. Anti-inflammatory, autoimmune, Paleolithic consumption of foods. Anti-inflammatory, autoimmune, Paleolithic. You might be like, I've never heard of that diet. Well, basically, it's just eat real food. Literally, just eat food that is real. But you also have to get rid of the foods that create the molecular mimicry and the cross-contamination. Dairy is a big one. So an autoimmune anti-inflammatory diet, no dairy, no cheese, no yogurt, no dairy, none. If you want to find out how addicted to dairy you are, just try to not do this. And if you're like, oh, I'm craving dairy, that's like an addiction, right? The second thing that's not in there at all is bread products and even grains. There's no rice, there's no corn, there's no soy, there's no wheat, and there's no beans. And the nuts and seeds have to be treated, if you will. They have to be sprouted and dehydrated and cracked so that the lectin counts go down. Okay, I recommend that you follow this anti-inflammatory autoimmune paleo diet. It is described in the the Thyroid Heal Thyself ebook, so it's yours free. Just click the links above and below and you guys can grab them. You also want to make sure that your proteins are uber squeaky clean, grass finished. Okay, little side note, grass-fed, no longer enough. Like 5 years ago, grass-fed would have been like, wow, that's amazing. Now it's like, nah. The farmers are allowed to feed the animals corn for the last 90 days, and it only takes 90 days to completely wreck all the fats and the omega-3s and the omega-6s and cause severe sickness. So if they're raised 97, 98% of their life on grass, but they eat corn and candy for the last 3 months, it's still considered grass-fed. Isn't that nuts? So the new term is called grass-finished. What it means is the animal is dying or is slaughtered while it's still eating grass. So the new phrase, grass-finished. Make sure when you're buying your beef products that exclusively the label says grass-finished. There's several companies, even those in Harris Teeter and Publix and Whole Foods, that will say grass-finished. Okay? So we need to do that. Then we need to make sure that we're working on things to heal the gut. Okay, some of the two greatest, if you could, maybe three, would be glutamine. It glues the gut together. It's a powder you can stir into water and drink daily. Zinc, because it's a natural immune booster / immune modulator, meaning it can downregulate an immune system. And probiotics. Remember the thing with probiotics, don't take them all the time. Be very careful taking them in heavy doses when your gut's leaky, because then you leak the probiotics across. We usually wait for probiotics for a couple months and we start cycling them. Take a little bit for a week, take a break. Take a little bit more for a week, take a break. Take a lot more for 2 weeks, take a 2-week break. Take a lot more for 2 weeks, take a 2-week break. Okay, so it's a cycling process. We need to make sure that you address underlying infections. Most people have lots of crud floating around in their blood. I'm talking about Epstein-Barr virus and cytomegalovirus and mold and just, low-grade chronic infections. Typically, they're viruses. A lot of you have cold sores and fever blisters and shingles. And, for most people, it's Epstein-Barr virus, just to be honest. Epstein-Barr virus is often overlooked by your immune system because it tends to live in your nervous system. So it lives inside the spine. And there's not a lot of nerve tissue that is immune tissue. It's there, but it's very minimal. So you got to get it out of your nervous system. You got to actually pull it out. Some things that can help with that: activated charcoal, chlorella, detoxifying products, clinoptilite zeolites, liposomal EDTA. These are all things that are available easily over the counter or through a functional physician's clinic, and they can help you yank those viruses out. Something I learned at a conference just over this last weekend, this is a fun fact, if all you did was take a clove of garlic and crush it and mix it with about a teaspoon of Manuka honey and eat that every day for probably 3 weeks, the active antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal properties of garlic is only stimulated when you crush it, and it's only active for a couple hours. So if you're like, I buy hummus from Harris Teeter and it's garlic based, I'm good. No, man, that stuff was crushed months ago, weeks ago. Raw cloved garlic crushed through a garlic press, mixed with a little bit of Manuka honey to get the active enzymes, and just swallow it every day. I guarantee if you do it daily for 3 weeks, it's going to revolutionize the power your body has to kill dormant infections, including Epstein-Barr, Lyme, mold, all kinds of stuff. So just give it a try. And we also need to make sure that we're watching out for your stress. Stress is a big deal, but I'm talking about the stress that stresses your gut, food stress, chemical stress. If you eat anything packaged, processed, fast a filet, chick, I'm trying not to name them, but you know what I mean. McDonald's, Hardee's, Dunkin' Donuts, all that crud that people still eat today. It just boggles my mind that at 11:30 in the afternoon, the Chick-fil-A lines are out the wazoo, and the McDonald's lines out the wazoo, and the Hardee's lines out the wazoo. We have a gas station that has Hardee's near my clinic, and no fail, 12 o'clock, gas station food, fast food line is packed. That's just disgusting. That is gut leak right there. So when we look at Hashimoto's from a comprehensive view, it's real simple, guys. It's caused by gut leak. Gut leak is caused by your unconscious incompetence, the lack of having knowledge of what creates the leak in the first place. If you didn't know that eating bread, gluten products then can punch holes in your gut, well, now you do. If you didn't know that corn does the same thing, now you do. If you didn't know that rice does the same thing, now you do. If you didn't know that dairy does the same thing, now you do. If you didn't know there was an autoimmune, anti-inflammatory paleo diet that can reverse autoimmunity, now you do. If you didn't know there's supplements you can take like glutamine and zinc and probiotics and clinoptilite zeolites and spirulina and chlorella and EDTA, now you do. You have no excuse now. Well, some of you will say, well, I don't know what to do. That's why I wrote the ebook. It's somewhere on the screen, I imagine. Click here to grab your ebook, or just text. If you're watching this live, if you're on our live streams, comment below, I want the ebook. We'll private message it to you. Text us. First name, last name, email. We'll send it to you. And don't forget, on the 9th of November, which is right around the corner, I'm hosting a free live masterclass on how to fix your thyroid. We're going to talk about HypoThyroid, Hashimoto's thyroid, Graves' disease, the other autoimmune thyroid. We're going to talk about steps to identify the roots. Is it a gut leak? Is it a toxic mimicry? Is it a nerve issue? Do you know your nervous system controls your thyroid? It does. So you could have a nerve interference. You could have a toxicological interference. You could have a leaky gut. There's all kinds of things. So all that is free coming up on the 9th of November. And no matter if you're dealing with a known diagnosis, I've been taking Synthroid for 25 years. How do I get off of it? Come to the Masterclass. We got to find out, do you actually have Hashimoto's and you just didn't know it? Remember this, 90% of people taking thyroid medications have Hashimoto's, but they were never diagnosed because their primary care physician didn't run the right tests. The gold standard thyroid test is TSH-T4, period. That is literally scratching the surface. There are so many subtests for a thyroid that should be run. The free and the bound thyroid hormone. The free and the bound third thyroid hormone. Reverse T3. Ooh, we're going to talk about that all next week. Wilson syndrome. We're going to talk about that next week. High levels of reverse T3, which is the fifth type of thyroid hormone that most people have never had tested. And if high reverse T3 is present, you're going to feel like you are falling apart, but your labs will look amazing. The index, what are you shuttling your thyroid hormone? Your resin uptake. It's called a T7 index test. Are you actually moving thyroid hormones out of your thyroid, or is your thyroid about to explode because it has so much thyroid hormones inside of it? Peroxidase antibodies, globulin antibodies. Like, there's so many. All these are included in a functional thyroid panel, and a lot of you have just not done a real functional thyroid panel. So if you're dealing with hypothyroidism, or you've been taking thyroid medications, or you know you have Hashimoto's, start there. Get some basic tests run. Ask your doctor to run a Hashimoto's thyroid autoimmune profile for you. And if it comes back with elevated TPO antibodies and elevated globulin antibodies, you should be like, oh, I have this. But actually you don't, because remember, this is caused by a gut leak. So what you should say is, oh, I have a gut leak. And now I'm going to go fix that, because fixing the gut leak will make this get better. And over time, your antibodies will come down, and it happens all the time. In fact, last week, I was meeting with a patient. She's about a year under care with us. Doesn't sound like a long time, but it also does sound like a long time. But man, her antibodies dropped by over 100 points. Do you guys know what that means? 100 points less. So her body is actually making the hormone, which it was doing the whole time, attacking it less. And now we're seeing thyroid levels of TSH come way down, which is a sign of over-medication. So this individual gets to talk to their doctor and say, look, my antibodies have gone down 100 points. My TSH is going down. Will you please decrease my medication? And you know what the doctor says? We're going to have to. Like, I don't know how you did this. We've never seen someone go lower in thyroid medications as the years go by. Everyone goes higher and higher. How'd you do it? And you get to say, I listened to this podcast. There was this doctor online, and he was teaching people how to heal themselves. I did the protocols. I followed the ebook guides, and here I am healing myself. That's the power you have with the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you guys next week. And again, if you're preempted, short and sweet 30-minute highlights on how to fix the what I'll call Wilson syndrome. That's next week. Wilson syndrome, high reverse T3. And hopefully you found today to be helpful and informative. Thank you for tuning in. If you have questions or you need support, don't hesitate to reach out to us. AskDrErnst.com. That's AskDrErnst.com. Until next time, stay healthy, stay empowered, and remember, your body has the power to heal itself when it's given the right tools. I'm Dr. Aaron Ernst, and I'll see you guys next week.
Would you like to experience a better night's sleep? Want to feel well rested and ready for your day? Discover an amazing solution with Celliant Sleep Recovery. Our Celliant Sleep Recovery products are made from a patented yarn embedded with a blend of 13 infrared active minerals. Celliant technology never washes out. The benefits will last for their entire lifespan. Minerals reflect the body's own energy by using Celliant infrared active technology, boosting your oxygen levels and improving circulation to reach REM sleep gracefully. Our customers love to comfortably sleep throughout the night because of Celliant. We've conducted 9 independent clinical studies by well-respected scientific institutions and universities that prove the many positive effects Celliant has on the body. Our technology is designed to help you achieve a refreshing sleep recovery. Experience the foundation your body deserves. Start waking up refreshed and always ready for the day ahead. It's time to achieve the best sleep of your life to unlock your hidden potential. Start experiencing a better night's sleep with our Celliant Sleep Recovery products today. Celliant. Recycle your body's energy.
How many calories are in our wines? Generally, calories in wine can vary, from around 95 to over 200, depending on the alcohol and sugar content of the wine. Now, unfortunately, since there are no nutritional labels required on wine bottles, it can actually be very hard to tell the true calorie content of your glass. Since our wines have less than 12.5% alcohol by volume, each glass of our pure natural wine has roughly 95 to 135 calories.
What if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.